It's the Jakub Show. It's time. Let's go.
Sometimes in life, things happen off script. Just like I don't have a script for most of these episodes, because I genuinely feel that if you're going to have a conversation with people and it comes straight from you without looking at notes or reading, it sounds more interesting, honest, and it's like having a conversation with someone, even through a podcast, and that's what I like. That's the idea behind this show. Now, that's why it'll be somewhat rough. It'll be genuine, but that's how I want this podcast to be. And in life, just as we're going to hear today, things just happen without a script. So this is my dog story. My dog story starts somewhat in the early 2000s with an unprecedented decision. So a random day in the mid 2000s, at the point in my life where the wife and I just decided to move and buy ourselves a house and start living on our own. And a couple months in, we're like, it's kind of quiet around here. We weren't expecting to have kids right away. So, random, it's on a random weekday with no plans of doing anything except just going out and, window shopping, looking at stuff, and kind of hanging out like we usually do on the weekends. Went to the city, went to Windsor. And, just driving around this store, that store. And just on a random chance, we just thought, okay, let's go to the pet store, walk around. Why not? We've never been to a pet store together like that. So we just stopped by. The closest thing I've ever had to a pet was turtles. Okay? And I just only consisted of washing their tank, which is a chore every few months. So I've never had a pet outside of that. And she's never had a pet either. So we went to the pet store just for fun, just to look around. Again, it was just a random night. It was a Friday night or something. We were bored, a few months into living on our own. It's like, hey, let's go to a pet store just to look around, see some cute pets, cats, dogs. I'm not a cat person, but whatever. So I went to a pet store that no longer exists, by the way. And we're walking around, looking around. And it felt like a puppy mill, but it's a giant pet store that used to be here. And just looking around. Bunch of dogs, puppies looking around, just looking at cages. Just sad little dogs just sitting in groups in their cages. Walking around. And just all of a sudden, like, hey, let's hold some of these puppies. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number one was actually getting hands-on with some of these puppies. At this point, neither of us know what the hell we're doing. So, grabbed some puppies and played with them. All right, put them back in cages. All right, walking around. And at one point, one of the puppies we were looking at, this little kid came by and kind of did the same thing we were doing. Just picked this puppy up, looked at her, put her back, and sounded like they really wanted to get her. And this is a puppy that we kind of like, because she stood out. Out of the four that were in the cage, she was the only white one, because there was 3 black and brown ones, and she was the only white one, but she had a black ear. So, us being suckers, we're like, oh, well, we like that one. We have no idea what we're doing again. Let's just go get her. Unknown to us that this would be a life-changing decision, we kind of grabbed the dog. And then got talked into buying like $1,000 worth of like stuff with her. So $1,400 later at the cash register. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we paid for it. I don't know what we were thinking. No clue. We just kind of did. We just kind of did it. I can't even go back to that thought process. I can put myself in that time and space, but I can't put myself in the thought process of what we were thinking. Holding this little tiny 4 or 5 pound puppy in our hands and just cashing out with a crate, some dog food, a toy or something, blankets. No clue what the hell we're doing. We have no idea what we're in for. Paid and got out. So, as we're driving home, realizing what we just did, our biggest concern was trying to come up with a name. That's it. Not what's going to happen to this dog, who's going to feed it, who's going to stay with it, what the plan is. No. Our concern was name. We came up with it, called her Sophie. And it turned out to be probably one of the most educational experiences in our lives. Because we had to learn a lot. Brought her home, she was tiny, we had no idea what we were doing. And at that point, it's not like we were always on our phones. I don't think I had a phone with a digital. That was just a phone for calling. I just couldn't access information at that time. I had to log in and online on a PC, like I'm on right now in the studio, and research information. But it's like it's a dog. Feed it, sleeps, shits, pisses. That's it. Well, not exactly. Had to find a vet. Had to get her checked out. And surprisingly, learned that you had to get her fixed at some point. So yeah, that's we started an adventure. Unknowingly walking into something I don't think we were ready for, but it was, I think, one of the necessary things that just naturally needed to happen. So over the course of the first few weeks, we learned quickly that she didn't like to be in the cage. Well, she needed to be in the cage to sleep because she just couldn't roam. A puppy doesn't have bladder control. And it took a long time to understand how much work this was going to be. So we learned the hard way of cage, not cage, bathroom training, all that other fun stuff. And so as a first-time puppy owner, we learned the hard way of how much patience, dedication, time, and of course money it takes for this type of undertaking. Again, not being very clear-headed, I think we realized later on that this might not have been the best decision, but we had to live with it. And it took some time. Eventually, probably 6 to 8 months in, we figured out within days that the dog would rather sleep in the cage in the same room as us, because it was technically a baby, than being left alone in a cage somewhere else. So we figured that out, and eventually, a few months down the road, figured out, you know what, it's time to just bed and not cage anymore. Just let the dog free roam. And that helped a bit. Eventually, bladder control started, and we were off to the races. For the most part, we're good. Yeah. Dog started teaching Sophie some commands, and it started off rough, but we were getting there. Again, this was a learning experience that took years to understand what the hell is going on. It wasn't cheap either, because if you never had a pet, a dog or a cat, these things are expensive. Hundreds of dollars to fix, because you don't want the issues that come with that unless you're prepared for it. Go for it. And yeah, that was the challenge to start. And it turned out fantastic, because over the years we had a lot of positive experiences of having the pitter patter of tiny little paws around the house. It's great. And at the point of having kids, having the dog part of the family embraced was great. Another family member. And 16 years in, and 16 years later, the hardest lessons came at the end. Because within the last year of her being with us, you see from beginning to end how things go full circle. For as much joy as the dog brought forth and taught us, especially me, a lot of lessons of understanding a full life cycle from the very beginning, the tremendous middle, and the frustrating and sad end. Because life really does go full circle. Because yeah, you can train the dog, but once the dog is old and tired, it doesn't care. And you have to understand that. When they're old and tired, they will do what they can. With the last year, we had a struggle with her as she went blind, mostly blind. At over 16 years old, insane bathroom control problems. We had to put diapers on. And eventually, we had to say goodbye. And it was extremely hard. Extremely hard. At that point, I think I gave up within the last 6 months of that. Because maybe the journey itself took too much toll on me by the end, with everything going on in life, and I just added to it. And it became like a full circle moment. Extremely hard. And when you reflect upon it, and you cut out the beginning and the end, which were extremely hard on everybody, even the dog, it was a wonderful time. Positive. Influential. A growing experience. And you can only reflect upon it now. Like when I'm thinking about it, of how the almost 17 years of having her in our lives is incredible. With the good, the bad, and everything. Incredible. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Now, after we had to, not by choice, we had to make a decision to now have her in our memory. And this was probably about 3.5 years ago now, October or November-ish of 3.5 years ago, something like that. I kind of let the whole having a pet thing be finished. I didn't want the responsibility. It was awkward because you get used to something quickly. And having her around for almost 17 years as part of your daily ritual of what you're doing, your schedule, your responsibilities, part of the family, it's a family member, that many years, come on, that's a long time. It was very awkward. Not only at the very beginning, but for the months following. And it was hard for everybody. The process was hard. Now, you can call it grief, you can call it coping. After a time, you kind of realize the entire journey had a reason, and we had a privilege for that time, for almost 17 years. And it was time to close that chapter. We did have her cremated. We have her on our mantle with her collar to remember. That's a family member for almost 17 years. That's a long time. So I kind of made peace with that many months down the road. Many. And of course, as I am known to make a lot of bad decisions in life, especially when it comes to, well, apparently animals and vehicles and other things. On my own, unbeknownst to others in the family, I started looking at shelters. I started looking at rescues. Again, no clue what I'm doing. But maybe it was a coping mechanism at that time. And I figured one way to pay back and do better and not only respect the closure, but kind of give back and work and build upon everything I've learned is to rescue. What rescue? What? I don't know. All I knew is I wanted something. I wanted a dog, and that I needed that energy in the house again. And this time it would be completely different because Sophie was half Shih Tzu, half Poodle, topped out around 23 pounds. Okay? And she was pretty big for what she was supposed to be. At 23 pounds. Hair, not fur. So that was good. So going from that, they're kind of looking like at everything out there. Like I said, something bigger. It was a bully, or it was maybe a lab or something like that. And I was looking at different breeds. I have no idea, as I'm researching what the heck these breeds completely are, size-wise, dedication-wise. I saw, I've had people that I've known that had shepherds, labs, obviously. I'm like, oh, there's a King Corso mix. There's this, then that. I'm like, I have no clue. Most of the time it says large breed, medium breed. I don't know. I'm thinking in my head, I don't know what this means. I'm like, oh, I want a large breed. I want a bigger dog. I'm thinking it's like lab. Lab's a large breed. Apparently not. So after being denied a couple rescue applications from different places, Niagara Falls Rescue had a dog at the bottom of their page that was there for a very long time, probably about a year, named Nova. King Corso mix. It said large breed. I'm like, looks angry. Young, a couple years old. Rescue. Discounted. Because no one wanted her for a long time. It was discounted. Discounted a rescue dog. I'm like, well, we're not doing anything this weekend. Let's go for a drive. Again, making haste decisions. And for those that don't know, Niagara Falls is about 4 hours away. Cool, let's go. Packed up the truck, let's go for a road trip. As you guys will learn with this show, I love road trips. So 4 hours road trip one way is nothing for us. Jumped in, let's go for a road trip. Drove down Niagara Falls. Walked into the shelter. Super nice people. Really cool. Like, hey, just came by. Drove 4 hours. Can we check out the rescue? Of course, we called ahead. And so they would be ready. So I'm expecting a lab-sized dog, looking at the 2 pictures that were online. Oh no. 95 pounds later, this thing comes out and jumps right at you with her paws, looking at me right in the eye. Okay. When she came out, at her shoulders, she was up to my knees, and I'm 6'3". I'm like, well, that's a big dog. Not ready for it. But playful, very large. We took her for a walk just to see how she is. That was an experience. It was like 20 minutes of getting pulled around by this giant beast. Super sweet, slobbery giant beast. King Corso mix with what? No clue. But scary looking from far away. Very playful. And of course, if you haven't learned by now, I make bad decisions. Within a half hour, we say, cool, we'll take her. I did not even think how I'm going to bring her home. Again, almost 100 pounds of dog, pickup truck, 4 people in it. So, bad decisions aside, popped her in the truck with everybody in the back, dogs all confused, drive 4 hours home. Didn't take 4 hours, it took 5.5 because of stops and having to shuffle people around because she's so big, doesn't want to sit, walks around, pacing. Of course, it's traumatic. We eventually got her into the house. Again, we have no clue what we're in for. No clue. And to say we didn't have regret the first, well, me, I'm going to speak for myself. The first 2 weeks, oh boy, did I have regret. You're not used to a giant animal roaming the house it doesn't know. The first 2 weeks was insane. You have to adjust to how big the dog is, moving stuff around as she walks, the energy it has, it chews, has some accidents. There was some regret there. I had to question myself, why do I make these decisions? But that's it. 2-3 weeks after, put a little bit of extra work in, and we were lucky twice in our lifetime so far to have picked up smart dogs. Because Sophie was smart. She knew what she was doing all the time. And Nova, that just got home with us back then, figured it out too. It took her a month to learn our habits. It took her a month to learn her environment. And it took me the same amount of time to realize it's exactly what I needed. Again, this is, I'm going to speak only for myself. Because this house not having a dog is just not the same. So it's been a few years now that she's been with us. Rescued from that Niagara Falls shelter. And yeah, it's a commitment. You learn that a big dog that now weighs 120 pounds is different than the dog that weighs that weighs just 20 in every way. But it's the uniqueness that keeps us on our toes. But it's the equal commitment that we had for both dogs, and we have for both dogs, that keeps us going, and it's necessary. So the lesson here is, and I'm still working through it, because as she's snoring down the hall from me on the couch, is, yeah, I make bad decisions. I make hastily decisions. But there's a reason for that. What that reason is, I have no idea. But with the struggles come the rewards. And I'm happy to be where I am right now with it. That's my dog story. I hope everybody enjoyed that. If you did, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.